And I know our good days aren't even against trash kids or anything. It's just fucking our aim is on. Like I'm like, well, yeah, Ashley, because he's thinking about passing me
Stay
on.
back. Stay back.
Oh,
How you doing, Mr. Schwartz? I'm still breathing.
So I printed off a couple different assistance programs, whether they're Salvation Army, Health and Human Services. Also got a transitional that does a couple other different things, whether it's just housing, food assistance, or anything like that. Just made a couple printouts for you so you can look over that and see if there's a certain location or certain place you
Chapel.
Yeah, there's some one chapel number in there on the
The
Salvation
thing is,
Army one.
I've been calling these numbers for 2 years. I had housing and my disability money before Natalie died. I had it here in this town. I needed help. I wasn't getting the help that I needed because my caseworker, she quit her job because her son is autistic like me. I can't do this by myself. I have been trying to explain that. I literally I need peace and quiet to work on the things that I need to. I have been through 3 years of abuse over things that I didn't do, and I needed someone to do something to put a stop to it. I spoke to the cops here in town. I spoke to the cops in Chesapeake, Virginia. I spoke to the cops in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, no matter what, because of my disabilities, I get punished instead of help. I need actual help. I need a caseworker to sit with me and work with all of this. And they were supposed to call the Department of Health and Human Services. I have been through 2 years of trying to get my housing back, through a whole bunch of hell, through a whole bunch of vigilantes and assholes, and being assaulted by cops repeatedly. And I got assault against a police officer on my record, and they dropped the charges without allowing me a day in court. But it's still on my arrest record, so I get treated by cops in the jails like I get treated like an animal, sir. I need help. I'm overwhelmed. I have been through a severe amount of trauma, and I need people to understand I can't do this by myself. I am completely shut down. I need my own place where I have peace and quiet. I have been to one end of the country to the other where people said that they would help, and the problem is most of these people are drug addicts and alcoholics or drug dealers, and that they're not bad people. And that's the thing, is that they're not bad people, but I have to show the situation that I'm in and why I'm having severe panic attacks in all of these situations. And they hate me for showing it, but the fact is, nobody should have to go through that. And all of this is happening because I don't have housing. I'm easy to victimize, and this guy isn't victimizing me. He's taking care of me. He can't even cover his own bills. But also, there's the things that because it's his house, and because there are things that help him to cope with his issues, those things are generally loud. He watches shows about murder almost everywhere that I've gone. They watch shows about murder, and it's overwhelming. Especially, I've had so many of my friends die of drug overdose and freezing to death from bad laws and being stabbed and being shot. I mean, I'm completely overwhelmed. And then I try to go to the cops and I have this stuff documented, and so that they can have their cameras on. And so many occasions they don't have their cameras on. And if they do, they tell me I have to get a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer. I'm overwhelmed. I'm in a constant state of panic. I need peace and quiet. He likes to play his video games, and he's online. So he's got his headphones on. He's talking to the other players. And at night, he can't sleep unless there's ambient noise. And his shows are what's the ambient noise? It's shows about killing. So I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep during the day because he's busy talking to his video game. And everywhere that I go, I don't get peace and quiet. I need peace and quiet to work on the things that I need to. And then I get overwhelmed and I go for help and I get locked up because I want my life to be over all this. And the wrong thing to do is to lock me up in that situation. I need the things that I had before Natalie was killed back. If they keep telling me call this place and call that place, I have called thousands of times to different places, and it's just a runaround. All of it is just a runaround. I need an autism advocate to sit down with me and actually help me with this. To explain it to you guys, to explain it to a caseworker, And there are people in town who can explain it. Tina Span can explain it to you. Laura Nelson can explain it to you. And they're not even the only ones. And I literally need it set up so that I can sit down with you guys and help to educate on that. But I need a safe environment, and it's not that this place is a violent place. It's that a safe environment to recover from all this trauma is a place where I get some peace and quiet. I mean, I shouldn't have to live with drug dealers. I shouldn't have to live with alcoholics. I shouldn't have had to travel from one end of the country to the other. And this is all on other people's money because I haven't had my disability money since before Natalie died. And they were still giving it to me until August of 2018. But the thing is that like all of my money was going to court. And in the courts, I didn't have an autism advocate. And when I spoke to the police, I didn't have an autism advocate. And I was overwhelmed and I was going through a massive quantity of abuse. And then most of these environments I'm in, they're abusive environments. And I get court dates where I don't have an advocate. And I am overwhelmed. I need some peace and quiet. I need housing. And I can't do this myself. I've been trying, and people keep telling me, call this number and call that number. And I keep falling through the cracks no matter what. And I'm tired of people. Every time somebody goes missing, people start threatening me and fucking harassing me. And everywhere I go, it's like, well, it's not just this jurisdiction, but this is in some other jurisdiction. It's in another jurisdiction. It's in another jurisdiction. And then I was harassed and threatened by the Bollinger family and their friends and a bunch of internet fucking wingnuts because it was all over the news. And the cops, like, they assumed that I killed Natalie, and they didn't say anything on the news about me not killing Natalie, even though they cleared me on the 29th of December 2017. And I got assaulted by officers on the 7th or 6th of January in 2018. And because I told on those officers in Boulder County, they put me through hell in the jail. And then when I was sent back there in August, like, they did everything in their power to prevent me from having a court date so that I could take the Bollingers to court. Those son of a bitches deserve prison for what they did to me and for what they did to Natalie. She was suicidal. I'm overwhelmed, and I know that I come across as fucking crazy when I'm like this, but oh my god, I've been through too much, and I need some peace and quiet.
I can see what you're talking about. Just that with the assistance programs, I personally don't know enough about them to actually get the wheels turning. I know Health and Human Services, they generally will try to send a representative that's in our area to come and help you with what assistance you need.
I need Tina Span and Laura Nelson can explain this to you too. I need a familiar environment, which means Boulder, Colorado, or Chapel, Nebraska, and that's it. I need to have some peace and quiet because if I'm overwhelmed, if I have a meltdown, I get punished, especially because my age and because I'm a male. I mean, I grew up in the system being.
Do you have any family members around the area?
No, none of them care. I came back for my grandma's funeral, and my mom was busy complaining that she just wanted normal kids. I was going through so much stuff at that point in time. There was a situation with the Bollinger family harassing me at my grandma's funeral, and I tried to report that here, and it didn't go anywhere because it's the wrong jurisdiction. I had to go to Colorado, but when I went there, they wouldn't do anything. There's literally nothing that I can do. I need someone to care about my rights as a human being. I can't turn off autism, but I need people to stop punishing me for it. Stop expecting me to do things that I could do under normal circumstances, but these aren't normal circumstances. This is extreme quantities of abuse, and it's nobody's jurisdiction to do a goddamn thing about it.
Have you talked to the Health and Human Services people in our area?
Sir, I've called all of these places repeatedly, but the thing is, there are certain things that are detrimental to somebody like me. Having to constantly move it's killing me, and I mean that. I am like this so often, and I can't do a thing about it. I shut down, and then I get told I'm not crying because I'm shut down, and I'm trying. I am. I've made so many phone calls. I need someone to make those phone calls with me, which means that I need an autism advocate. And they could pay somebody to help with that. But the thing is that I had to, in order to get my dad's help, he lives in Washington State, and he's one of my abusers, and he's an asshole. He never sexually abused me. He just get drunk and beat on me. He's just an asshole. And in order to stay there, I had to try to get everything transferred up to Washington State. And I was trying to do that. And I had my disability here in Nebraska and my housing here in Nebraska. And I have to start all over. And I don't have an ID. And I have been through no end of hell. And no officers anywhere would fucking listen to me. They kept turning off their body cameras and kept doing whatever they wanted and treating me extremely hostile. I'm overwhelmed. I'm not hostile. I mean, the whole pain compliance thing, that was not necessary. I needed to make a police report. Getting pain compliance and being sent to a nighthatch, that is the worst possible thing to do to me because it cuts me off from my ability to communicate with my loved ones. It cuts me off from my support network. And most of them are scattered to the four winds. A bunch of them are mad at me because I had to expose a situation on the internet. And that's because the courts and the police wouldn't listen to any of these people. They were trying to explain what was going on in the courts, and my public pretenders wouldn't do their jobs, and I threatened to sue them, and then they definitely wouldn't do their jobs, but I wasn't allowed to fire them. And like, there is so much fucked up shit, and it's been 3 years of hell, and I have to be able to sit down and write it all down because it all ties in together. The thing is that because of my disabilities, I am easy to abuse. Because I grew up in foster care, I'm easy to abuse. Because I have the mentally ill tag on my head, I'm easy to abuse, and people can get away with it just by turning off their body cameras and just by my rights have been violated most of my life because of that tag. When I turned in the people who molested me as a kid, I got treated like I was crying wolf because they were in positions of authority. And some of them were the other kids that I was locked up with. And when you tell on the other kids you're locked up with, they separate you. They put them in a different ward than they put you in, or they send them to a different foster home or you to a different foster home. But when it's the foster parents, you're automatically assumed wrong. And they abuse you for it, and you try to tell the cops, and they don't listen. You're a kid, you have no rights. And then as an adult, because you went through that and you don't have any family support, you end up homeless. And then you're hunted by police because you're homeless, and everybody hates you because all homeless people are druggies and junkies and so on and so forth. And we're not. We're not. I helped people. That's what I did. That helped me to make sense of everything. I needed someone to do that for me, and nobody ever did.
Well, like I was saying, I don't know a whole lot about the assistance programs here. I used to live in Lincoln, so I knew the Lincoln ones. Just with this area, since it's a low density population, usually South Platte, North Platte. Maybe Ogallala has those kind of.
There aren't many here, and that's why I ended up in Colorado, especially since like my support network here in high school was basically a bunch of kids because my parents were not involved in my life. They were abusers. So when I got out of high school, they all turned into meth heads, and I didn't have anyone. And most of them got married and had kids. They don't have time, and most of them are scattered to the four winds because they got reputations in this town for doing meth. I only did meth for 30 days, and that was over a decade ago. That was in 2002, and that was because I wanted to see my friends, and they wouldn't hang out with anyone who wasn't on drugs. And I took meth, and it put me to sleep for 20 hours, and I woke up, and I did it again, and it put me to sleep for 20 hours. I can't even get addicted to that shit. I didn't like it. I just wanted my friends back. And that was years ago. And the thing is, I've never tried heroin. I've never tried cocaine. That's my parents' drug of choice. I can't function. And the thing is that I have crippling panic attacks, and I have meltdowns all the time because of this now. And he doesn't deserve that. I turned on my video camera so that I can record it because the world needs to know what this is like.
You all right, man?
I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not. I just need help. And I beg people to kill me because without that help, I just have one environment after another, and I can't handle it, and people don't understand that, and then they yell at me, and like so many of the environments I was in, they're just so fucked up. Like one of the ladies I stayed with in California, she's got a Nazi uniform in her closet, and she kept on showing that off to me, and she is an alcoholic, so she just screams and screams and screams at night. And during the day, she's all right, but during the day, I couldn't do any of the things that I needed to do because she was afraid that somebody would hear her screaming at her daughter and the CPS would come and take her kid away. And the thing is, her daughter's autistic, not like me. Her daughter can't speak, and nobody's going to take her daughter away for that. But the other thing is the sensory overload is very common for us. I mean, especially in extreme situations. Like Natalie was my best friend and she was shot in the head. And I went to everybody for help and they expect me to be normal. They expect me to be happy go lucky after that, you know. You don't you don't get to be happy after that. And I mean, I've been shipped to mental hospitals like at least 13 times since Natalie was killed and drugged and assaulted in those places, and they don't understand. I'm overwhelmed. That's exactly the opposite of what I need. They take me away from the things that I need to work on. I need some peace and quiet so I can work on my case and work on my story so the world knows what this is like. So the courts know what this is like.
Is there anybody in the area that you know and trust that might be able to help you?
I don't trust anyone anymore. That's the thing, is that none of them have time. And in the courts, you know, I wasn't allowed to show that. They were slandering the fuck out of my name, the police did, because I was trying to turn in police after the assaults by police officers, and they did everything in their power not to. I mean, they slandered the shit out of my name in court, and there were lots of people willing to come forward that tried to come forward, including Mandy Hughes and Miss Peaches and all of them, but the police wouldn't listen and they wouldn't allow it in court. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I shouldn't have had to break the law to get the cops to do their jobs. Nobody should have to break the law to get the cops to do their jobs. Nobody should have to break the law to try to get the cops to do something about the abuse. And that's the thing, is that I have to show everything that's gone on. I've got all of this evidence and I can't sit down and organize it because I can't get some peace and quiet. And every time I have to sit down and go through it, there's the sheer volume of it, and then there's like the sheer quantity of it, and then there's the fact that noise is a very big factor in sensory overload. And when somebody has been through a traumatic experience like me, they're more prone to having to deal with that. Like him, he screams at his video game, and he's not hateful. It's just that it's non-stop, and I don't get any peace and quiet, so I can't sit down and work on these things, and I need to be able to, and I can't do that without housing. I had my disability money it was all spent going to courts where they wouldn't listen to anyone. They wouldn't allow any of the evidence that I was trying to show. Like when I was assaulted by Officer Whale in Lolotaya, I didn't break the law. When I was assaulted in Clearview, I didn't break the law. I should have been able to make a police report on both of those occasions. I didn't start like breaking the law until I couldn't get the abuse to stop. I literally had spent 7 months of taking abuse from the volunteers and their cronies and being harassed and threatened. And I couldn't get any police officer to take my report because it's all out of jurisdiction, no matter what jurisdiction I'm in. And none of them understood. I need an autism advocate to help so that you guys understand what it is that I'm going through and that your policies hurt me so much.
Have you ever had a advocate before assigned to you for autism?
No, sir. I was supposed to have one named Lisette Brown, but after the assault by the Boulder Police Department, she wasn't interested in anything. Nicole Peralta was helping me with all that. She's in Sydney. She's my therapist there, but I can't see her. I don't have a vehicle. Everything that I've gone through and all the punishment that I've gone through, everything that I've had has been stolen repeatedly. I can't function, and people keep abusing me for not being able to function. They take complete advantage of that. I've called Adult Protective Services repeatedly in Colorado and in Nebraska, and they all tell me, "Do you have family? Do you have family?" That's everybody's question. Do you have family? And when I say no, I get blown off after that. And that's the thing, is that without family help, you're screwed. And my family, they're drug dealers and child molesters. I mean, how the fuck am I supposed to go to people like that for help?
Have you ever tried taking that shuttle van, or the shuttle van they have at the senior center? They usually drive people back and forth to appointments in Sydney.
I have their number somewhere in a big pile of numbers, but the problem is that, like, I just got that number from Polly Olson uh, about a month ago, month and a half ago. The thing is that I need a case manager and I don't have one. I can't do the things that I need to do in order to get a case manager because I don't have a vehicle. I can't go through any of the motions that I have to go through in order to get any of this going on my own because my driver's license expired and I don't have an ID anymore. And like, this is all stuff that I'm overwhelmed. I literally am shut down, and they're called crippling panic attacks, and I have had them most of my life, especially because of the sexual and physical abuse I had to go through growing up. And I can't help it. I can't take care of myself because of it, because of the trauma that I've gone through. And people treat me like I'm lazy because they're not there helping me, because they're not in the room. They don't see the efforts that I'm making. So I must be just sitting on my ass doing nothing. I collected all of that evidence so I could show it. And I have tried nationwide to try to get the FBI to pay some damn attention, to try to get the police to look at it. And everywhere I go, it's, "You're in the wrong jurisdiction, wrong jurisdiction." Well, I was in the right jurisdiction and I was being abused. I was being blown off. I was being treated like I'm some sort of fucking psycho. I was being treated like I'm somebody who assaults cops. Meanwhile, Waylon Lolatai, the officer who assaulted me, he assaulted 6 other people after me. He was let go of the Denver Police Department for assaulting people, and he should have never been allowed to leave there. They dropped the charges against him. They never charged him. They did a internal investigation that they dropped because he agreed to leave their department. So he got to get hired on in another department because they didn't do their jobs. And then Clearview, like, they assaulted the fuck out of me, and there's camera footage of it, but they started the camera footage halfway through. Like, they didn't need to assault me. I was calm and I was not fighting back. I was trying to call 911. In Clearview, they got shut down for killing a man doing what they did to me. Also, in August of 2018, I was put back in Boulder County Jail over a situation where multiple departments were involved in literally doing everything they can to prevent me from having an honest day in court and slandering my name. They didn't none of them turned on their body cams. I literally threatened to kill the President of the United States to try to force the FBI to look at the evidence. And, every time I talk to the cops, hoping that their body cameras are on, and their cameras were all off. All of them, none of them had body cameras on. And Miss Peaches was going to go in with me, but she was scared because she had her son with her, and she didn't want to get him taken away. She didn't go in with me, and as a result, they got to do whatever they wanted. And it's my word versus theirs because I'm the one who's called mentally ill, and they're the one with a badge and a gun. And they abuse the shit out of that power, especially when you've been charged with assaulting a police officer. And I was assaulted by a police officer, and that's literally what I was going in there to report, is being assaulted by a Longmont police officer in the Longmont hospital. I mean, they took me to the hospital. They said that they would take my report when I got to the hospital, which is what I had been trying to do the whole time. And they took me to the hospital, and it's the same fucking scenario nationwide, is that when you're trying to turn in a police officer, they drive you to the hospital, tell you they'll be right back, and then they fucking ghost on your ass. Most of them don't even give you their names. And it's against the law for them not to give you their names, but you have to be able to record it, which is why I always record it when I can. But this computer was stolen by police officers in Rawlins, Wyoming for like 6 months because they wanted to paraphrase and outright lie and twist things to make what they were doing okay. And there's evidence on here from my court date and from Rayanna Ingersoll, who is the person that I was uh, staying with there, and also the recording of the police officers outside of the McDonald's there, that the police officers outright lied. They lied to the courts, and my public pretender wouldn't do anything. And I didn't have the money to go do any of the things that I needed to do. I have to beg other people for help to do these things.
Who did you have your disability through? You're getting the disability money.
State of Nebraska. Yes, sir.
Have you ever done the Social Security disability?
That's what I was getting.
You're getting that.
That's the thing, is that in order, the police took complete advantage of the situation when Natalie died. I'd been speaking out about Boulder police officers for a lot of years, because the tactics that I've been speaking out about how they harass people and separate people from their witnesses, and get them alone and turn off their body cameras, and if anybody tries to speak up, they arrest the witnesses. I mean, Boulder is a nasty place, and police officers, there's the blue line of bullshit. You stick up for your own. And the thing is that needs to not happen. You guys all need to be forced to wear body cameras at all points in time so that the things that happen to me don't happen to others. My guilt was assumed, and those officers did vigilante bullshit because my guilt was assumed.
Yeah, there's a lot of difficulty if people understand that innocent until proven guilty. I can't speak upon what happened because I don't know the exact events that took place, and I don't know any of the police in Colorado what they did. So.
See, that's the thing when you ask about family, and everybody wants me to call these phone numbers. They go nowhere when it's just you. They go absolutely nowhere. You literally have to have someone there with you, or they blow you off, or they take their time. They don't understand. I've been through 2 years of trying to get my housing back, 2 years of trying to get my disability back, and it's been hell. I have to deal with police all the time. I need a safe place for me to be able to function, and people don't understand that safe place. They think just a roof over my head is good enough, and it's not. I need peace and quiet. And because of what happened, and because most of the evidence is on the internet, I need to be able to sit down with internet and work on that. And I can't do any of that without my disability money and a place to do it.
Who did you have your housing through when you first had it?
It was up at Hilltop here in Chapel.
Up at Hilltop Manor?
Yes, sir. But I literally need someone to go with me. I'm having crippling panic attacks at all points in time. I can't function well enough to do that. I can't make 1,000 more phone calls hoping to get help. I need an advocate.
I can look into it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% sure of all the assistance programs and availabilities around in this area, but I can look it up and see what I can find and see if I can either get something set up or at least get the information to see who to contact and get at least the appointment set up to see where
All of the actual services that can help me out, for the most part, are along the Front Range in Colorado, and that's why I moved to Colorado, was to try to get that help in those services. But the people that I was staying with, they're drug dealers who are very self-absorbed. They have a son who's autistic, and they set him off all the time. They know exactly what they're doing. And the fact is, they did those things to me repeatedly. I mean, their son, he has valid requests and valid complaints, but they treat him like shit, and they gang up on him. He's scared often when I was there because of them. I mean, he is too scared to speak up. He's scared of getting in trouble no matter what. He spends 90% of his time grounded to his room for things that no normal kid, we call them neurotypical, would ever be in trouble for. And that's the thing, is that you guys have so many false assumptions about us, about how we're all violent and we're all terrible, that we get punished greater than others due to your paranoia. And we get treated worse than those other people, and then we're not allowed to speak up about it because we're the ones who are mentally ill, so we must deserve it. We must not function right in the head, and the fact is, we function better than you guys do. Your guys' drama is completely foreign to us. Not hardly any of us understand it. I mean, we see it all the time. We understand why people do it and why they have it in their lives. But the fact is, I'm a goal-oriented individual. I saved lives for a living. That's literally what I did. I did that for 7 years in Boulder, Colorado. I passed out blankets that were illegal for people to use so that they wouldn't freeze to death. I walked people to the warming center, even the junkies, even the alcoholics, every night. Some nights I made up to 6 trips in one night to take those people to somewhere where they could be warm and not freeze to death. And then I always went back to where I slept because I can't deal with that many people at one time for that period of time, especially when I need to get some sleep because it's not a quiet environment. At least behind my dumpster, it was quiet. But I haven't had family help, and that's the thing. Everywhere I go, they're like, do you have family to help you with that? No, I don't. That's why I need an advocate. My family has never helped me out in my adult life. As a kid, my dad was a piece of shit. He was collecting disability money because I'm disabled. And then when I was an adult, he's like, oh, well, we had to set it up here in Washington State so that as soon as you turn 18, they just click a button and you get that money. I'm like, Dad, that's not how it fucking works, first of all. And second of all, I need your help to get that instead of you treating me like shit because I left your house when I was 16 or 15 over you abusing me. And he has held that grudge ever since. He is an asshole about it. Like, I do have relatives. They don't care. Sorry. That's the thing, is that I keep making all of these calls, but it's just me. Since there's no family there, I fall through the cracks over and over again. I should have had somebody go in with me every time that I had to speak to the police so that those things wouldn't happen. And I already knew how police were going to interact with me because I'd seen it hundreds of times before with hundreds of other people. If you don't have somebody go in with you, you are completely screwed. But I had to. Natalie disappeared, and I wanted her to be found, and I wanted her to be found safe. So I took that risk so that I could get her safe. She got shot in the head. And I'm not allowed to feel sad about it because people treat me like shit. They expect me to just get over it. And I've been through so much abuse over that situation, and people aren't understanding that the abuse that I have to go through, I have to go through. Financial abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. At least I haven't been sexually abused since I was like 13, The guy that I'm staying with, like he's not going to be able to handle all my panic attacks, and the panic attacks are because of things that he's doing that aren't even wrong things. They just affect me because of the volume. I need peace and quiet in order to work on the things that I need to, so that I can defend myself, and so that the world knows what this is like. And the reason I say the world is because this was all over the news, and there are web sleuth wingnuts that I have had to deal with all over the world. I've had people threatening my life from Canada, people claiming that they're Christians, calling me a Satanist, and saying they want to cut my throat and shit like that. I didn't do anything bad to Natalie. I begged her to put a stop to it. I let her know what was going on and what people were saying and what they were doing in November of 2017, or in November of 2016, and I begged her to put a stop to it. I begged her sister to put a stop to it. I begged Maddie Boa to put a stop to it, and they treated me like I was a fucking stalker, and I went to the police repeatedly about it, here and in Colorado. It's out of my jurisdiction. It's out of my jurisdiction. It's out of my jurisdiction. I didn't even know that she wasn't in Virginia until she was dead. She slandered the fuck out of my name because she was embarrassed because I told on her for being on heroin. If I'm gonna be abused for shit that I didn't do, you goddamn right I'm gonna tell on the people who actually did those things. And I saved a whole bunch of stuff from witnesses. It's all over my YouTube channel. I've got over 1,500 videos, and there's probably 150 of them that are conversations between me and witnesses. And like me and Natalie went through the same abuse growing up. That's why we were friends. And my predators that I was trying to turn in here and in Colorado, and those predators got to go in and do things that nobody else was allowed to do. They were given special treatment. They wouldn't take any of the statements from any of the people that I was trying to get them to talk to. The police wouldn't do it. The public pretenders wouldn't do it. And I have proof that these people are the predators, but no one will look at it. It's out of everyone's goddamn jurisdiction. It's out of jurisdiction in Colorado. It's out of jurisdiction here. The only people that it's not out of jurisdiction for is the FBI. But then, because the way that the cops treated me, the FBI doesn't fucking care. I'm mentally ill in their fucking mind. I'm homeless, so I don't matter. That's the thing, is that I needed to be unhomeless so that I wouldn't get abused. And I was made homeless because Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head by Joseph Michael Lopez, and people assumed I did it. And I was assaulted by the public, and I was assaulted by police over it. And I was the one who was charged with assault. Meanwhile, I can't even make a statement. I've repeatedly tried, and they prey on the term mentally ill because then nobody's going to listen to me unless somebody is there, like family. But my family doesn't care. So I have to endure this abuse at the hands of police and at the hands of the public for the rest of my life. And God damn it, I should be saving lives. I should never have to break the law to try to force the cops to do their jobs. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I didn't really know what went on. I could see your frustration, and seeing that if nothing's been addressed before that, it just keeps on piling up. So.
It does. That's the thing, is that it started off as a backpack with a telephone and a computer in it, and some paper evidence that I was going to show Natalie because the police would look at it. Natalie was supposed to show up to see me in Boulder to put a stop to it. I said I'd like to meet at the police station. She wanted to meet at Starbucks, so I went to Starbucks. I was surprised because I thought she was still in Virginia at the time. And then I got handed a protection order, and I tried to get that officer to take her to court. and he outright refused. And I had the protection order, but I needed an attorney, and I was trying to work on getting that through Colorado Coalition of the Homeless with Jeff Ritter and Kara Heller. I just put it in my backpack. I didn't know how protection orders worked. I didn't even bother to read it because I didn't have an attorney, and I just assumed that it was permanent. I was so pissed because I needed to be able to clear my name so that I could go to Boulder and not be threatened, harassed, and assaulted. And ever since then, every officer tells me it's not my jurisdiction. It's not my jurisdiction. This happened nationwide. Nationwide, I get the mentally ill treatment. I need an advocate there in person, and I don't have one because I don't have family. It's okay to do these things to me. Because I don't have family, I have to go in by myself. And Miss Peaches was scared to go in. A lot of people are terrified to go talk to the police because of what happened. Many of them have seen it happen numerous times, just like me. I've got documentation on here from hundreds of other people who have had to endure that just in Boulder, Colorado. Evidence on here that nobody will look at, and nobody will listen to them either because they're homeless and they don't have families. If they did, then they wouldn't be there either. I literally went to Colorado to get the help that I couldn't get here. That's why I moved there in 2017. I mean, Natalie's friends and family have put me through no end of hell, and no matter where I went, I got blown off, told it's the wrong jurisdiction, no matter what jurisdiction I was in. When I was in Adams County, they refused to take a police report from me about the abuse. There were 7 officers there that night, and none of them would do that. Meanwhile, after Natalie died, all of these people got a hold of me first. Natalie's mother was harassing me on my Facebook. Natalie's sister called me to ask if I knew where she was. She had my phone number. She called me from Shelly's phone, and Shelly got a hold of me first, and Danica got a hold of me first. And I was never allowed to defend myself or speak up in my own behalf. And the police went out of their way to make sure that I couldn't go to those civil court dates. Outright lied to me repeatedly, and because they didn't have their body cameras on, they got away with it. And that's all because I was charged with assault against a police officer when I was assaulted, and they dropped the charges, but that is still on there, and I have evidence of that on my computer. I have so much evidence I have to go through, and I have to try to force the FBI to do their goddamn jobs. I can't function to do any of this. I literally can't take care of myself. And because I can't take care of myself, I have crippling panic attacks over everything that I've gone through, and then people get fed up with it. You know, I mean, he's not going to be able to deal with me much longer having crippling panic attacks in his house. And he shouldn't have to. None of these people should have had to.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure what's around in this area as far as advocates. Most of the stuff I know about health and human service.
There's a Region 1 Nebraska, and I have called them repeatedly. I need someone here in person. I need to not be locked up for needing help. I need to not be prevented from going through the evidence. And that's the help that I get. Dragged to a hospital, drugged up, and fucking punished for having a panic attack. I mean, the things that I needed before Natalie died, a safe environment. I haven't had that since Natalie died. I haven't. I needed my disability money to be able to take care of myself and defend myself. And all of that was spent going to court. And because I don't have the money for a lawyer, they prey on that to get away with it. I was assaulted repeatedly in all of the jails, almost all of the jails. I was assaulted in the jail in Scottsbluff, but because I'm mentally ill, it's okay to do whatever they want. I mean, I had to plead guilty to that shit up there in order to not have to endure any more abuse. I'm autistic. It's not a choice. You can't drug it out of me. You can't beat it out of me. I've been through a severe amount of psychological trauma, and you can't drug that out of me or beat that out of me either. If all of this hadn't happened, you wouldn't be able to tell me from the average Joe I'm very good at masking. But with everything that's gone on, I can't do it. Masking is where we have to hide who we are. We have to hide that we're different because people aren't accepting of different. And I have Tourette syndrome, and I have to hide that, or I get treated like I'm on fucking drugs. I need emergency housing, and I need it to be here in Chapel because of the familiarity. I can't go through the process of trying to meet new people. I'm scared shitless of all of them now. The threats against my life, I can't get anybody to do anything about. It's all out of their jurisdiction. It's over the internet, so I have to do it over the internet to try to get these things taken care of, and I can't do that. I try. The only reason that I have an email address is because somebody helped me set it up. The only reason that I have a YouTube set up is because somebody else helped me set up. The only reason that I have Facebook is because somebody else helped me set it up. And people just assume that because I have a computer, I know how to do all this special magic hacker shit, and I don't. Because of what happened to Natalie, and because of all these sleuth groups, and because it was all over the news, like I literally had thousands of people doing everything they could to make sure that I couldn't speak on my own behalf. And there's long periods of time there where I couldn't talk to my friends or family, and everything that I needed was dependent on me being able to be in communication with those people. I don't have the money to keep my phone on. I don't have the money to travel. I don't have the money for any of that. I don't have any income, and I'm disabled. Public pretenders, I should have been allowed to fire them. Instead, the judges refused me the right to fire them for not doing their jobs. I needed help, not harmed. I literally had to break the law to try to get help because calling these phone numbers doesn't get me the advocate that I need. Tina Span can explain autism to you in a way that you're going to be able to understand because you're neurotypical. Laura Nelson can explain it to you in a way that you can understand because you're neurotypical. But I'm not neurotypical, so it's very difficult, especially after all I've been through with the police. I'm scared shitless of the police. I have warrants in Colorado. If I go back to Colorado where they have services for people like me, I will be abused in the very same facilities that I'm trying to turn in. They protect their own, just like everywhere else, and they don't have any volume on their body cameras. They refuse me the right to make a report repeatedly. I have hundreds of sheets of paper that I filled out while I was there, hundreds of pieces of paper that I filled out to try to get somebody to listen. I have statements from other inmates. Do you know how difficult it is to get another inmate to write a report? Do you know how fucked up the situation it has to be for another inmate to write a police report? An actual police report? And they wouldn't talk to any of the witnesses about any of the abuse that I was going through in the jail at the hands of their guards and at the hands of other inmates. No charges were pressed against any of the inmates that were assaulting me. And when I tried telling on police officers, they put me on suicide watch to retaliate for me speaking out. I need a safe environment where I don't have to worry about that. The Bollingers, they're not good people. I wanted to believe that they were. When Natalie first died, I wanted to help them out, and they were asking for my help, and I was doing everything that I could, but their friends and family were fucking with my head. It's called gang stalking, and there is no jurisdiction for gang stalking. That's the thing that I was trying to show the officers is that I've been gang stalked for over a year before Natalie was even killed. But it's out of everyone's jurisdiction. It's gang stalking. There are multiple people taking part in it. And I needed help. And everybody that I went to help for it, they all blew me off. Like, oh, Sean, you just need to let it go. Like, how do you let it go? How do you let it go when you can't see your loved ones without being assaulted? When you can't take care of yourself because of the shit that you're going through? I mean, I left Virginia so they could have that whole state to themselves. I went to Colorado and was abused over the slander. So I came here and people were harassing me here. I just wanted to see my loved ones. My phone is dinging at me. There are people in town that said that they would help me and they just didn't. Like Brenda Dickinson across the street was going to help me. She just didn't. She's got rheumatoid arthritis and she takes pills for it that really fuck her up. So she can't help. And the thing is that she's a witness to a lot of the stuff that I went through and a lot of the fact that I was God, I need a new back. The fact that I was trying to get help, but like she's so fucked up on those medications she can't even do anything. I mean it's so screwed up. So I mean it's nice to have the numbers, but without an advocate present, a family member or a friend who's willing to do that, it doesn't get done. I'd like to be able to set up with Tina Span or Laura Nelson to go down and get that taken care of, but I need help with that. I need you guys to understand what a safe environment is for someone who's autistic. Your protocols are antagonistic to somebody who's autistic. I mean, literally every day I want my life to end, but putting me on suicide watch is the opposite of the help that I need. That separates me from my ability to be able to take care of myself. That separates me from my ability to have access to the evidence to go through it. But I need some peace and quiet. I mean, sensory overload isn't a joke. I don't know if you've ever seen those things online where they show what it's like for an autistic person to walk through the mall and stuff like that.
No, not lately. I mean, I don't have any live TV or anything like that. So.
I never owned a TV. I did own 2 TVs that were given to me, but I never watched them. I used them as target practice. But autism, when they show those things, what they're showing is just a fuzzy visual and a bunch of stuff like that, and it's really not. It's the fact that you're noticing a whole bunch of stuff all at once, and especially if it's a new environment, you're noticing too much at once. It's difficult to process it all, and then there's the emotional part that goes with it. Like if you can imagine the scariest situation that you've ever been in, not the scariest situation, but the scariest you've ever felt. Because when I've had guns pulled on me, and I've had people that were going to stab friends of mine, and those are obviously scarier situations than a lot of things I've been through. But I just wasn't scared. I was protecting my friends. Sometimes I was protecting strangers. But there's also situations where it's not like that, where like you are scared. It's a lot scarier when people are doing it to you than it is when you're protecting someone. But if you can imagine those emotions that you go through when that happens, and then add on the emotions that you have to deal with when somebody that you love a bunch dies, and then add on top of that the emotions that you feel when somebody is accusing you of something that you didn't do, and especially if it's somebody that you care about and you aren't allowed to defend yourself, and put all of those emotions on top of the visual sensory overload and the audio sensory overload. How is anyone supposed to function through that? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. it's unfortunate that most law enforcement, maybe we're not really trained how to deal with certain people as far as the health spectrum, how they cope, and how we can actually help them. I mean, all we can do is try, go for whatever resources that we have in the area, try to get something.
You know, I helped Laura Nelson with her son. I'm very good with autistic people. With Ken and Leah, I was really the only person that their son talked to because we made a good connection. Because I understand him, I understand his situation. With Laura's son, like he is able to look people in the eyes now. Because I sat down and drew eyeballs with him, and I had to practice in the mirror for years to be able to look people in the eye. And most of the time, I look at the ground, or I look at the arc. I really like architecture. I like the way things are made. You know, so then like people don't understand when they say, look me in the eye, look me in the eye, look me in the eye. But as soon as I look them in the eye, I'm not able to hear what they're saying anymore because I'm focused entirely on looking them in the eyes. And then because I'm not looking them in the eyes, they assume that I'm lying to them, and that's not how it is. I'm not neurotypical, and you can't expect me to be. That isn't a personal thing against you. Like literally every law that I have broken, I've had to break to defend myself, to try to force the truth out so that people can do something about it instead of abusing us for being different. And then because I was made homeless, I have to deal with all the stuff that goes on with that, where people just assume that you must be a druggie or a child molester or some bullshit like that, and it's just not the truth. I mean, most of the time that I was homeless, I had a job. I just didn't earn enough to get on homeless. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do you work on Tuesday?
I don't work on Tuesdays.
I want to get somebody to go in with me so that I can explain this, and I want somebody whose body cams are going to be on it, somebody who's not going to get all defensive when I talk about how fucked up the situation was here, because, you know, if these officers fucked up because they didn't understand autism, they can say that, and they can learn about it so that it doesn't happen again. But as it stands, the way that it looks to me, they were trying to cover their own tracks for not doing anything about the abuse that I was going through. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
They said they were going to call Department of Health and Human Services and have someone come see me, and it would be a couple of days. I was hoping they'd come see me on Friday. Jen Beebe from Region 1, she hasn't called me back in almost 3 weeks now, and I need to be able to take care of that. I can't, I don't have a vehicle to go traveling to these places. So this is one of them situations where you can't help me, isn't it?
I'm not saying I can't help you. Like I said, for as far as I know, for the resources we have here, I can look them up and see what they can set up. Like I said, the vans that go into Sydney, they would probably help you get a ride if the resources is in Sydney.
I need housing first. Without a safe environment where I can process, I can't do anything. Housing first, that's the most important part. Without that, I can't function.
Yeah, hopefully what they have in Sydney, hopefully they'll be able to help set up different situations as far as housing, someone look into if your disability,
Were you on the phone at the same time? people are having a conversation at once, I can't hear either one of them. If people rapid fire questions at me, I get overwhelmed. If somebody asks me a question, depending on how overwhelmed I am, if they just ask me one question, it could take me up to a minute to be able to answer their question, to even respond. And that's not because I'm ignoring them, it's because I have to process the question because I'm overwhelmed. Most of the resources that'll help me are in Colorado, and I can't go to Colorado without being abused. The abuse I went through as a kid started in the system in Colorado, and I've been speaking out about that for over 30 years now. I started speaking out when I was 7. And you can see on the news there are so many cases of CPS and the police and institutions doing all of the things that I say that they're doing. But magically it's okay for them to do those things to me and I must be lying. That's the assumptions and the treatment that I get. Monday is President's Day. I'm hoping I don't overwhelm him because I am overwhelmed. I'm in a constant state of panic and it's difficult to explain and I'm not allowed to be in a constant state of panic. Meanwhile, I've got all of the evidence on here of why, and nobody will look at it because it's all out of jurisdiction. I have to go to multiple jurisdictions to show why it is that I am overwhelmed. Meanwhile, those jurisdictions, I have to deal with police officers who cover for the wrongdoing of other officers and the wrongdoing of themselves. It's nice to get a list of resources, but the thing is, I need someone to sit with me and call those things, and I don't have anyone to do that with me. The guy I'm staying with, he gets overwhelmed too. He can't help me with this stuff. I've already asked him. My back is so screwed up. They want to put me on opiates for my back. You know how screwed up that is? I got way too many friends dead of heroin or addicted to heroin. I'm not taking that shit. The pills don't stop the pain, and when they wear off, the pain is 10 times worse. Most of the people that I know that know me well enough to advocate for me, they have their own family lives going on. They're too busy. It's not that they didn't care, it's that they are overwhelmed with their own stuff. That's why you're supposed to be able to go to professionals for that, and the professionals aren't very professional. I suppose I should probably let you go, huh?
Well, that's up to you, man. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna try to see what I can find out as far as if there's any advocates for autism, any locations or any people that can help set up some other appointments that you were wanting as far as the housing.
I need help actually getting to those appointments. I'm too overwhelmed to make all of these phone calls as is. I literally need someone to sit down with me and help me to do those things, or it goes nowhere. Jen BB, it needs to be an emergency thing, and she needs to come down and help. guys have my phone number.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem. Like I said, I'll try to find out what I can see as far as who will be able to come down. Try to get the ball rolling on some of that stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem.
Back up. Back up. Back up.
I think it's like fire. Up, up. I'm missing all the